Every time they were on screen, it was just like, it was really thrilling. Haha, thriller, thrilling. Yeah. Hello, I'm Steph, aka Literati Medium. So today it's time for another wrap up and TBR. Today you're going to learn what I read for the month of July, what I thought about it, and what I plan on reading for August. So the first book that I read this month was Those Who Wish Me Dead by Koryta. This was my book versus adaptation video for this month, which if you have not watched it, you can go and check it out here. This book was just kind of a fun thriller with a survival element that I really enjoyed. I actually find the survival aspect of it more interesting than the thriller aspect of it. I learned a lot about wildfires and the way they act, and it was pretty fascinating both in the book and the movie. The book had really great character arcs for all of its characters. I could really tell how character driven that this book was, and I really appreciated that. The villains in this book are really creepy. Every time they were on screen, it was just like, it was really thrilling. Haha, thriller, thrilling. Yeah. I just thought that they were really interesting anytime they showed up in the book. And I actually found myself kind of crying at one point because of the villains. The one problem I did have with the book is it had some plot issues. I just didn't find the main plot to be believable. Like, the survival aspect was really good, but I just didn't see how this kid ended up in this situation. It didn't make any plausible sense to me. So I rated this book 4 stars because the character work made up for the plot issues. The next book that I read was Half Sick of Shadows by Sebastian. This is a retelling of the King Arthur myth through the eyes of Elaine, the Lady of Shalott. And I loved this book. If you love King Arthur retellings, this is a great feminist edition. Also, you know, when we talked about tropes, this has a great found family trope story. Elaine is also a really likable character, which is great. And I really liked how the story is told non-linearly. You're kind of jumping back and forth in time. You really kind of see the world through her eyes, and that she never sees things quite as they line up. And because of that, the ending, while you kind of know what's going to happen, you don't exactly know what's going to happen. So I rated this book 4 stars because while I really liked it, there just was something that kept me from loving it. I can't really put a finger on it, but yeah, it's not one that I feel the urge to have on my bookshelves forever. The third and final book that I read for the month of July, I will put it here, was The Labyrinth Gate by Elliott. This book had a really fun premise, but the telling aspect in the book was terrible. There were literally conversations the characters would have about something that happened, and I'm going, why didn't you show me what happened? Why are you just telling me in this conversation between these two characters? It's one of those, I think if this book were published today instead of in the 80s, I don't think that would have gotten published. I will say that I love the fact that even though this was written in the 80s, that it features an interracial couple. I also really loved the world. It had this not quite steampunk vibe, but this like Victorian era mixed with fantasy with goblins and all of that. It was very steampunk meets fae, I guess, or Victorian meets fae, and that was a lot of fun. Also, this was another book where I preferred the side characters to the main characters because there was an enemies to lovers story. And anytime that happened, I was like, ooh, what's going on? I don't know. Are they gonna fall in love? It had a very interesting ending. It was not what I was expecting, but I liked it. So overall, I rated this 3 stars because while it's a great premise, it just wasn't very well executed. So I was a little disappointed that I only finished 3 books this month. I've been in a little bit of a reading slump. Things at my day job have been really crazy, and it's been difficult to find the energy to read. That being said, I'm pretty excited about my August TBR. So the first book I'm going to read in August is The Reincarnationist Papers by D. Eric Mykrans. And I'm going to compare and contrast it with the recent Paramount Plus movie, Infinite, starring Mark Wahlberg. The basic premise of this book is that a man can remember his past lives. That's really all I know about it at this point. My Book of the Month Club book this month is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I'm really looking forward to this one. The premise of this is that two men start to investigate the death of their sons who were married. I'm really excited to read this. I've heard really great things about it online. I think it'll just be great. Second thriller in 2 months. I haven't read a thriller in years. All right, so I've decided that I have a new way to pick my third book of the month. Before I was just kind of picking off of a list that I pre-generated, but I want to do something a little bit more interesting for you guys and kind of play off of the literati medium aspect. So I'm going to do a tarot reading. How this will work is that I will pull a card from the tarot deck, and based on that card's meaning, I will choose a book that kind of fits that meaning. So here's my drawing for this month. So based on the themes of The Hanged Man, I decided, based on how the previous book ended, to pick up the next book in the Throne of Glass series, Tower of Dawn. If you've read the previous book, you know how it ended. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but that was the closest thing I could really think of without spoiling myself for any books that had to do with sacrifice. So yeah, hopefully I'll get through this one. Like I said, I've been reading a little bit slower lately, so we'll see what happens. Please make sure to check out my new website, Literati Medium. And of course, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let's see what stories tomorrow brings.